Let's go, come on.
To give you a sense of how this latest wave of protests began, we need to go back to 1979. That's the year Iran's reigning monarch, the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, was overthrown and forced to flee after a popular uprising. This was supposed to be a people's revolution. The groups taking part in that revolution included students, communists, leftists, and many other opposition groups. But in the end, it was the Islamists, led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, that seized power and gradually purged all the other groups, often by executing them. And that's how the Islamic Republic of Iran was born, with Khomeini as its unelected supreme leader for life.
Today was the anniversary of the overthrow of the Shah of Iran. That was a sad day. 43 years of crimes of the Islamic Republic is coming to an end. Especially today, there are major protests in the U.S., in Washington, D.C., in Los Angeles.
Massive crowds would take part in protests in streets across the world, from Europe to North America to Australia. This scene in Richmond Hill, just north of Toronto, where 50,000 people gathered. Also in Berlin, with an estimated crowd of 80,000.
Well, what is going on in Iran is really a tragic situation because the Islamic Republic, ever since of come to existence, they've been killing people, torturing people, and really limiting people's freedom. And people in Iran are very much fed up today, and they want a new regime, and they're calling for a new regime.
Iran is a totalitarian dictatorship, an Islamic dictatorship. They have used that to torture, imprison, execute the youth and people of Iran for 43 years. They have killed, I can easily say, hundreds of thousands of people in Iran. Right now, there are tens of thousands of people in prison and tortured. Boys and girls are being raped in Iran.
Among those still behind bars are two journalists who covered Mahsa Amini's death. 527 protesters have been killed, including 71 children. And this boy, 9-year-old Kian Bir Falak. That's just one more name to add to the list.
And unfortunately, the policies towards Iran for so many years has been pressure with certain administrations in the US, or it's been negotiation. And none of it has worked. Because the regime existence is in conflict. And so they don't really care about human rights. They don't care about progress. They don't care about freedom. We really are asking for supporting the Iranian people, supporting the opposition, and really bring democracy to Iran. Because Iran not only is an issue for the Iranian people inside of Iran, it's also an issue in the Middle East, because Middle East is little by little is getting away from the US and the Western world. Because Iranian people want freedom, they want human rights, they want a future, and they have none of that. They want hope, and they don't have hope because of the conditions in Iran.
I am one of the guys who are opposed to the rules and regulation of the Islamic Republic of Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran has established 44 years ago, and today is the anniversary of the establishment of the Islamic Republic of Iran. all these people that they are here, they are against this killer regime. However, this regime has been killing our people for 44 years, and I hope this is the end of their life. And we are here to be sound of our Iranian people, and we want all the Americans knows that this regime is nothing except killer. They are never going to be doing good, and they never going to be modified, or they never going to be corrected. So the whole world need to put hands together to get rid of this killer regime. So the whole world is going to be more relaxed with no Islamic Republic. No Islamic Republic.
Iran has about 50 million young, educated Iranians that are under age of 50. So what their desire is, what they want is totally different what this regime really wants. So there's a big gap between what the Iranian people want and what the regime is delivering.
But even then, nothing prepared Iran or even the world for the spark that was the death of a young Kurdish woman.
22-year-old Mahsa Amini.
Mahsa
Amini, she was arrested by the morality police about 5 months ago, and she was killed by the morality police in Iran. That was the start of the new movement and the new revolution.
The 22-year-old student who died in September of last year while in the custody of the country's morality police. And her crime? A few strands of her hair were visible from her hijab. And that tiny spark that was Mahsa's life and death turned into an inferno. The people had had enough. Protesters across the country, rich and poor, young and old, doctors and farmers, men and women, shoulder to shoulder, all chanting a popular Kurdish slogan, Zan, Zindagi, Azadi, woman, life, freedom.
The movement is woman, life, freedom is the slogan of this movement, but the goal of this movement is to get rid of the Islamic Republic in Iran. They are the occupiers of Iran, and they have to go.
Basically, first of all, recognize the Iranian people are not like the regime. You know, there's a totally day and night difference between the two. Secondly, support the opposition. You know, support the Iranian people, because Iranian people's ideology is exactly the same ideology as the American people. You know, where the regime ideology is totally, you know, opposite. You know, so our message to the Western world and the rest of the world is, how are you going to sit across the table and negotiate with a group of people that their ideology is totally different than yours? There is no commonality between, you know, the West and this regime in Iran.
The Islamic Republic of Iran has had a bloody history. The U.S. State Department considers it the world's biggest sponsor of terrorism, and it is among the world's top countries where executions happen. But despite that danger, the threat of imprisonment, torture, rape, and even death, the spirit of resistance has always remained. There have been a number of uprisings right through the 4 decades of the Islamic Republic. 2010's Green Movement, where protesters filled the streets against the re-election of then-President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. The bloody November of 2019, when 1,500 people were killed by regime forces.
Ever since this started about 4 or 5 months ago, it has made me proud that all of us Iranians have come together united against the dictatorship that has destroyed our country, and we're going to take it back and we're going to rebuild it. The people of Iran know that inside Iran we are behind you. Every day, every single hour we are thinking and we're following you, and hopefully we will join you pretty soon.
Please excuse if you cannot hear or understand. If there's like a lot of distractions, I'm sorry. So I wanted to first of all say thank you to my friends from Turkey and Iran that invited me to this protest. I felt the need to kind of go a little bit more in depth because of how complex and big this story is, and so I did pull sources from CBC News, and so first of all, just a quick shout out, CBCNN Live. I'm gonna put links to all the videos in the description, but I wanted to have kind of like a cohesive story to talk about what's going on right now in Iran, and I think you need a lot of context for that stuff. You need to know not just what's happening in the stories, and of course, one of the things that I love doing is I love talking about stories of people that are being oppressed. So right now there's this big gap between the regime and the people of Iran. It's just completely different. There's different values, morals, all sorts of things. And so not just to highlight the oppression that's happening, but I also wanted to highlight the resilience that these people have of going through 44 years plus of just struggle. And so I think those are the stories that resonate with me the most. Being a person that has experienced a lot of hurt and a lot of things like that, I think the thing is that it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Just because we go through things in life that are difficult, I'm a huge believer in taking responsibility, even though it's not my fault, to make a change in my life, and that's what these people are doing. They're uniting together, and they're going towards a common goal. And so I love that. Anytime people are doing that for the greater good, I want to share those stories of being oppressed, but overcoming oppression and being resilient and fighting through it. So that's one of the reasons why I did that. Check out all the links, and I appreciate it. Love you guys.